Hello, Storytime audience. Step 1 in being a reader.
Your dress is cool.
Oh, thank you. I wore it for this event. Hold on. Nope. You do learn this at the workshop. I run the workshop. Okay. No more nuts. When you're on an archaeological excavation, there's really no telling what could happen. Archaeologists are a strange bunch, prone to bad jokes and puns brought on partly by heat exhaustion and dehydration. We stay up late, get up early, and we're terminally nostalgic. We're ancient trash collectors. What did you expect? Before I went on my first field school, I thought I would like digging well enough, but to my surprise, I loved it. Give me a trowel at a site and I will gladly sweat in the burning 100-degree weather and leave exhausted, sunburned, and covered in dirt. I foresaw the labor intensity of excavating, but I could have never foreseen the absurdities that come with it. About halfway through the dig season, it happened. There I was, minding my own business, excavating in Unit 60, singing, "I like pot shots and I cannot lie," much to the dismay of my trench mates, when I look up and nearly go into cardiac arrest. Now, if you know anything about archaeology, you may know that context is an important part of figuring out the story on an artifact. You can't just go digging willy-nilly and expect to piece everything together. You especially can't use a backhoe to dig stuff up because you can easily destroy the artifacts that way. So, imagine my horror when I look up to see a bulldozer heading straight for us. I nearly collapsed. Could I be hallucinating? When was the last time I drank water? Did I unknowingly get bitten by one of those ferocious-looking tarantulas that lived in a nearby tree? Did I die of heat stroke and end up in hell? To my surprise, the bulldozer was supposed to be there. See, there was this almond tree. Well, it was more of a sapling than a full-fledged tree. When we cleared the site of every plant we could at the beginning of this season, we took out a few saplings too. But the director of the project, Dr. Tumizo, wanted to save the almond tree. Now, Dr. Tumizo was no ordinary field school director. He looked like Albert Einstein, dressed like Indiana Jones, and acted like a cartoon character. So it was no surprise that he wanted to transplant the almond tree rather than just rip it out. The only problem was, this almond tree happened to be smack dab in the middle of Unit 62. The biggest victim of this ordeal is not the almond tree, but the supervisor of Unit 62. Poor Dirty Jim Torpedo, which is his nickname that had evolved into at this point. Earlier in the season, they had found part of an Artemis statue in his trench. First, they uncovered the feet, then the knees, then the chest, then the shoulders, and finally, the only thing missing was her head. So it goes in archaeology. Because this statue was excavated from a smaller subunit of this trench, someone called it the Artemis Hole. And being that there were college-age boys on this dig, they turned it into Dirty Jim's Artemis Hole, which got shortened to Dirty Jim's A-Hole. Such is life. So, poor Dirty Jim and his trench mates had to excavate around this almond tree for half the season. Which doesn't sound so bad, but leaving space around this tree led to 1/3 of the entire trench just not being excavated because Tumizo wanted to save the almond tree. The Cypriot Forestry Department seemed to applaud his efforts since they visited the site several times and brought us free forestry swag like stickers and rulers. In hindsight, that may have been unrelated. So back to the bulldozer. The plan was just to pull the almond tree right out of the trench. As the machine came through the gate, everyone dropped their trowel and watched the ordeal. At first, it seemed like the almond tree's will to stay put was stronger than the will of the bulldozer. As it strained to pull the tree out of the dirt, part of the machine actually lifted off the ground. For good measure, Dr. Tumazo, barefooted, since he had a habit of kicking off his sandals, climbed onto the bulldozer to try to help weigh it down. And finally, the tree gave way. Turns out the roots went much deeper than anyone had anticipated, and when the tree came out, boom! The area around the tree just collapsed right into the void where the almond tree once stood. My trench supervisor, Kevin, was so livid. I thought he was gonna set the tree on fire with his eyes. Poor Dirty Jim just looked dismayed, saddened, as if someone had thrown his trowel in the porta potty. Jumping off the bulldozer, Tumazo grabbed the sapling, raised it above his head, and ran to the nearby hole that had been dug to transplant it. It's a good thing he didn't decide to leave the tree there, because it turned out that there was an entire cache of female figures under where the almond tree had grown. In fact, this doubled the number of female figurines found at the site for 25 years. As it happens, the almond tree ended up dying about 3 days later, so it goes. Between the almond tree being removed and the discovery of the female figurines, Dirty Jim introduced the new and improved Unit 62, now with 100% less nuts. Yep, bad jokes. They warned about it in the first paragraph. Okay, thank you.